right, let's go. Ryan Garcia, his B sample, the results are in. It's a positive test for the banned substance, Ostarine. I'm gonna give you guys all the details right now in this video. Make sure you guys follow me at BOXINGEGO1. You guys see it on the screen. Over 60,000. Help the page grow. Link in the description. BOXINGEGO1. So Ryan Garcia, the information is now out, and I made this graphic for you guys. That's why you guys got to follow all my social medias. Link in the description. Ryan Garcia, his B sample tests positive for the banned substance known as Ostarine, just like his A sample had amounts of Ostarine. Boxing reporter Dan Raphael says, breaking, Ryan Garcia's B sample results were returned Thursday AM, one day after being opened. I have the lab reports and the B samples. As expected, it matched the A samples. Both are positive for the banned PED, performance enhancing drug, Ostarine, related to VADA tests the day before and after the Haney fight. So that concludes that portion of it. Basically, there was no clerical mistake. There was no lab mistake or error. What they found in the first test, they found in the B sample. Now, I told you on my channel, my statement was going to continue to be the same. This fight has been a thorn in my side, meaning there's just been, even before the fight happened, before the outcome, it's just a fight that won't go away. So during the investigation, I told you my stance is I'm not going to jump to conclusions. I'm not going to speculate and say a bunch of news. There's a lot of twists and turns with this fight. We will see how it all plays out. Now we got one segment of it down with the B sample. It's positive for Ostarine, banned substance. Still, there are a lot of people who do not understand this process. Even there's pages that are like, don't really cover boxing, but I've seen on Instagram, I don't know who made this, but this is kind of funny. There's pages that I've seen on Instagram particularly where a lot of the information, you could tell they're new to boxing, or that's not their focal point of their page, because a lot of what's being said still isn't true. So you can trust me, listen to me, don't listen to me. I get paid the same. I'm trying to tell you guys what's going on. So Ryan has, in effect, due process, which is what I said I'm going to wait for. Portion of it is now done. He tested positive with Ostarine. There's misconceptions and misnomers that, like, I see some people framing it as Ryan failed another test. That's not really accurate. That's not an accurate way to present it. Now, this is not good, but it's not an additional test. If you look at this, it says, as expected, it matched the A samples. I have the lab reports, yada, 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 right? Some people are saying this is a 4th, 5th, 6th test that he's failed. The way the A sample and the B sample works is the collection day, which in Ryan's case was the day of the fight and the day before the fight. So the weigh-in day and the day of the fight, they collected samples. That urine sample or whatever is split into 2 different like specimen packages. So you have urine A sample, and then urine B, right? In the event that you test positive in sample A, a fighter, they can pay to have the B sample opened up, right? You could have your B sample opened up, which is kind of what this is saying. That's the due process that Ryan went through. Reason being, why would someone want this if they cheated or whatever? Because there are some times where you got a fighter who's professing their innocence, and if there's any kind of contamination issues or lab issues, or let's say, this is just hypothetical. There's a situation where your sample got the wrong label on it and you got John Doe's urine specimen, and then it gets switched, like the movie Class Act, where their files get messed up and Blade Brown becomes Duncan Penderhughes. Anything weird like that could happen, then you have a B sample, because it's not likely that there's going to be something that's mislabeled twice, the same exact mistake, unless it was intentional. So that's why you have the recourse with the B sample. Ryan Garcia elected, which a lot of fighters don't do because you have to pay for it. He elected to have his B sample open, and it showed the same thing as the A sample. Despite me saying I'm going to allow due process to see how this plays out, I told you guys in those videos that in my experience, majority of the time, when the A sample flags for ... the B sample, since it was from the same collection date, just split in two, normally the B sample is going to read. The only time I guess it wouldn't is if it was some kind of corruption, lab mistake, or some mess up, and then the liability would fall on VADA or whatever, because you can't really make mistakes like that with people's names. So like if there's a lab tech and they're testing in and say, oh yeah, flagged, you got steroids in their system, and then come to find out it was a mistake that they made in the results, that would be bad, because you're potentially, with anything drug related, there has to be like steps and a protocol, because you could stain and taint somebody's win, you could blemish their name, you can forever impact the trajectory of their career with a misread or like some kind of false positive. So I think these companies are, they're pretty thorough in that regard, because you're playing with somebody's whole reputation. Now, that's settled. Hopefully you guys understand it. What Ryan needs to do next is, now, since it's affirmed, you had it in your B sample, you had it in your A sample, why should we include this win as a win for you instead of a no contest, no decision, because you cheated and went outside the rules? So what Ryan is going to have to now do is find what the root cause for this test is. Like, basically, him and his legal team, they're going to have to play detective to see if they can come up with a plausible culprit and be able to prove that this, in fact, was the reason I tested positive. Like, for example, Lucian Bute, he tested positive after his fight with Badu Jack, and it was the same thing, Ostarine. They found out through further testing that the Ostarine came from contaminated supplements. So Ryan, his team is going to have to show without a shadow of a doubt and prove. It does not look like he's tripping. This is the day the news came out and Ryan Garcia is being pampered at a day spa. Wow. Wow. But anyway, Ryan Garcia is going to have to be able to prove his innocence, or prove not even his innocence, because it's in his system. He's going to have to be able to prove that he unknowingly ingested this, as opposed to you were cheating for any type of performance enhancing effects, right? You got to now prove that. You got to prove that, like, basically you didn't know this was in your system while it was in your system. Like, you were just taking regular supplements. This is why all boxers, for real, they should, at this level, if you have the money that Ryan Garcia has, you should really be getting your supplements tested. It really doesn't make sense to be at this level and not have your supplements tested, because you know, your win could forever be tainted or be an asterisk by it if you fail because you took something. And just so you guys know, in the world of supplementation, it's not really regulated. I'm just being real with you. It's not really regulated. Like if you go on Amazon and you get some BCAAs or amino acids or whey protein, there's not really, it's not like all those things are FDA approved. And what is he doing? And everything's been thoroughly tested to make sure that what's on the ingredients label is the ingredients. So if you're a professional fighter, it's best to take nothing or at least get your supplements checked. And they do have services that allow you to do that, so you don't, you know, end up getting flagged for something because you were on a pre-workout. Like they had one with GNC called Jack 3D, and people were popping in different various fields and sports because they got this from GNC or whatever, and it was cross-contaminated. Ryan's team, they did speak with ESPN and they want to give, I guess, their side or whatever. And Ryan's team spoke out on it and they stated, I don't know where this adverse finding came from. Ryan Garcia told ESPN in Saudi Arabia hours before the Usyk fight. Honestly, bro, I don't. I was taking ashwagandha, D3, omega-3, just normal-ish. I don't know what the F Ostarine is. I seriously have no idea. I would tell everybody the truth. My whole thing is I'd rather tell the truth than try to fabricate it with the lie, because lies don't stand. So if I really did take it, I would be like, honestly, I was going through a weird situation. I wasn't really that confident. I chose to take it. I'm sorry. And that's it. But I didn't, and I hate cheating. All I can say is my legal team is helping me figure this out. These are the words of Ryan Garcia. Darren Chavez, who's part of Garcia's 4-member legal team, told ESPN a formal hearing with the New York Commission is set to absolve Garcia of any wrongdoing. The commission didn't immediately respond our request seeking comment. It says, as soon as being notified of his positive test, Ryan Garcia had his hair collected and shipped to Dr. Pascal Kintz, a foremost expert in toxicology and hair sample analysis, Chavez said. The results of Ryan's hair sample came back negative. We are certain that one of the natural supplements Ryan was using in the lead up to this fight will prove to be contaminated. We are in the process of testing the supplements to determine the exact source. So Ryan's team is stating that as soon as it was found out that he tested positive, Ryan gave a hair sample, which I believe they say a hair follicle sample is more accurate than urine, you know, because urine you can flush out of your system. Like if you watch like Forensic Files where the wife is poisoning the husband for some life insurance policy and stuff, and then she's dosing him with arsenic to poison him slowly but surely, and then the arsenic increases, they could take the deceased husband's hair follicle and then cut it into like segments, because your hair grows a certain amount every month on average. And then based on that and these forensic tests, they're able to determine roughly, or sometimes even pretty accurately, when the arsenic dosing stopped, when it started and when it stopped, right? I seen the episode of Forensic Files like that, where the wife was like kicked out of the house, and then all of a sudden the arsenic stopped, and then the person's health recovered. But then he got back with the girl and she moved back in, and she was like giving him drinks and his food, and she was dosing him with the arsenic. So again, there's a lot going on. This dude he's talking about Victor Conte. This dude that's effing defending Devin Haney is the biggest cheater in sports history. You can't make this up. Victor Conte, the founder of Balco, served time in prison after pleading guilty to conspiracy to distribute performance-enhancing drugs before founding Snack, a sports nutritional company, right? So it's just a lot going on. I'll keep you guys posted on what the latest is. Believe me, believe other people, this is where it's at. The B sample being positive for Ostarine is not really a shocker if you know boxing, because it's cut from the same initial sample that was initially flagged on the same day. So if one red A sample red tested positive for Ostarine, it's very likely the B sample will say that too. But Ryan, from this point, like I told you, there's a lot of people who are still like, I know everything and I know Ryan's getting suspended and all that. You don't really know that, to be honest, because Ryan now has the burden to, what the heck? He has now the burden to like prove what went on and where it came from, like how the Ostarine got in his body. So that's his burden. A lot of people, it's funny too, because some people in boxing, they try to throw it on me. I don't do drugs. I don't even drink anymore. So there's that. People say, oh, boxing ego, but what if Ryan, this is his battle. What don't you understand about that? This don't have nothing to do with my channel. Nothing I said has changed with the positive test. Nothing. There still were discrepancies and certain issues that I seen with Devin Haney's performance. PED, again, is not going to be an instant fix-all where all your problems are now resolved because you're on PEDs. You know, either way. Look, this is a boxer. It says Ostarine ain't what landed them left hooks on Devin Haney's head. You see what I'm saying? And I don't know. See, that's why I don't want to go too far into it, because I don't know his levels and I'm not the PED guru. But at the same time, I know what PEDs do and what they're used for. And depending on his level, you can ask the PED experts. Ostarine, the level that's in his system, would it be a night and day if you take it the week of the fight and that's it? Because he had passed all his other tests. Is that going to give you Superman powers in the ring? You know, ask the PED experts that. But I don't want to get too far into it because, again, this is Ryan Garcia's battle. We'll see how it plays out. Stay tuned to my channel for the conclusion.